Okay, well, good afternoon, good Wednesday afternoon, Jet fans. It is 3:19 p.m., November 20th, 2019. And yes, we are coming to you a little late today. Some personal things to take care of earlier this morning. So this is a late edition of our midweek Jet bonus coverage. And of course, we'll cover some NFL news um, as it comes across. Um, so let's start off with week 11 ended in New Mexico City, where the Chargers were the home team, I believe, and they took on the Kansas City Chiefs. Chargers lost 24-17. Kansas City goes to 7-4. The Chargers go to 4-7. Biggest storyline in this game was three interceptions by Philip Rivers. I've never been a Philip Rivers fan. To me, he is the equivalent of the AFC's Tony Romo. Um, and nothing against Tony, but he could put it together in the regular season, postseason. He cannot do it. Um, I never really liked Rivers. I will be honest with you. I rooted for him early on in his career because I didn't like the idea that Eli Manning forced the hand of the Chargers to trade him on draft day. I didn't like that Eli stood up there with the commissioner and put on his San Diego Charger cap. I just didn't like the whole thing. To me, it was, you're happy with who you drafted with, and you make that team better. But Giant fans, I have to admit Eli was better than what I thought he was going to be. He brought you to the promised land twice. He beat the Patriots twice in those big games, and he should be remembered for many years by Giant fans. Rivers, his regular season career is great. I think he only has a handful, I mean, maybe even less playoff wins. I know he had one last year and then they got blown out in the next round by the Patriots. Um, but something that stands out to me is 2009 was the year that Rex and Mark Sanchez were both rookies in the league as coaches and quarterbacks, respectively. Um, and the Jets, as they say, backed into the playoffs. So I don't like to use the word backed in. If whatever your record is, if you make the playoffs, you made it. I don't care if somebody else had to lose for you to get in. I don't care if you had to wait and see other people. I don't care if you won a tiebreaker. You earned a playoff spot. That's why it's there. Okay. Um, so they got into the playoffs, and it was the Colts were 14-0. The Jets were playing them, and the Colts sat their starters. The following week, the Jets had to close out the old Meadowlands Stadium, also known as Giant Stadium, and they beat the Bengals, who had already won their division and were set to play the Jets anyway the following week if the Jets won. They sat some of their starters as the second half started. So the Jets won two, you want to say gimme games? Gimme games. In fact, the Colts game, they were losing in the first half at one point. Then they after they beat the Bengals in the playoffs in the first round, they went to Cincinnati. They beat the Bengals at home. They went to San Diego. Now I have a few Jet books, and one of the books actually says that while the team was warming up pregame, Rex and the team were getting an earful from the Chargers players and personnel saying that they didn't belong there, that they backed in, that they're phonies, that they're not contenders, they're pretenders. Well, it went on that the Jets went and beat the Chargers in the divisional round. A team that won 11 in a row, were undefeated at home, and I believe were 12-4, or possibly 14-2 that year. I want to say 12-4, but I'm not sure. I'd be lying if I knew the record right off my head. But and Rivers threw an interception to Jim Leonard. Rivers, I don't like the way he releases his pass. I know he has a lot of yards underneath him. I know he has some wins underneath him. I just don't like him as a quarterback. So 3 INTs on Monday night to close out Week 11. Week 12 starts tomorrow night. I believe it is Baltimore. I'm sorry, it's Indianapolis and Houston. They start Week 12, and I can't believe we're in the final quarter of the 2019 season. As a Jet fan, you go back. I'll go back to April to minicamp with Le'Veon and Adams and Sam going into his second year, and you told me in week 12 the Jets would be 3-7. I never would believe it. I would have guessed at this point 6-5, um, maybe 7-4, or possibly 5-6. I'm sorry, they're 3-7. So I'm guessing, possibly 6-4, maybe 7-3, but highly unlikely. And at worst off, I would have said 5-5. I would have the gimme would have been the loss to New England and the loss to Philly because they just never beat Philly. I never would have thought we lost to a very inferior team in Miami. Never would have thought we'd lost that first game to Buffalo. So there's 2 wins there, so that brings up to 5 wins. Then you have to steal one. You have to steal one against the Patriots. You got blown away against both of them, and you have to win that Jacksonville game, and you got blown away in Jacksonville. So that's where we are now. Some news this week, as I stated earlier, Colin Kaepernick held a workout over the weekend. As of today, no team has called him in. The Pittsburgh Steelers were rumored to want to bring him in. I doubted they would. So far, they haven't. I was listening to ESPN 98.7 here in New York. Bob Wischusen said that the report from the scouts that did attend and did not see the workout was that he has incredible elite arm strength, has a lot of accuracy issues, and on touch passes, mediocre at best. That's the paraphrase. I also did not realize his last 2 seasons were abysmal. I think one of his records was 1-11. So that all gets thrown away because everybody just hears, Super Bowl, kneeling, blackballed. And there's so much more that goes on with that. I won't get into the politics of it, but there was something funny. I'm listening to the callers call in, and a lot of them, all the callers, even the ones that support him, say they don't think he wants to play anymore. Even though they think he's capable, physically fit to beat some of the backups that are here now, which, by the way, is what a lot of scouts said. He would be just a backup. They feel that he has, he wants to use this agenda to continue to be an activist, which is fine. But no team wants an activist. A team wants a player. But somebody called in and said, well, Tim Tebow's taking a knee, and everybody praised him for that. And then, and he used he kept saying, take a knee. He took a knee. Literally, yes, Tim Tebow did take a knee, but he took a knee in prayer. And he was mocked for that. He was mocked for the way he did it. He's mocked for showing his faith and his Christianity. These are big macho, like I'm talking in the 70s, but these are big, burly, strong men, and sometimes religion is mocked or not, practiced out in public. Excuse me. So, yes, they both did get down on a knee. One was in prayer. One was in meditation or solace. One was in, protest. One was during a national anthem. I mean, to me, if you want to compare, that would be almost like a group of people praying and somebody else walking in and mocking them and screaming while they're doing it. So there's no comparison there. They both went down to a knee. They both had their own agenda, but one was not for protest. One was for personal reasons, actually. Not to make a point. He never preached to bring people into him. He just preached his faith to show people his faith. But that's neither here nor there. I'm not saying that police brutality should be tolerated. I'm not saying that this is a country where everybody is treated the same way due to race, creed, or color. That's life. But, it is what it is. And that's something for a political platform, not here. So anyway, another big story is Le'Veon Bell, who I really thought was going to be a troublemaker if this team did not start winning. He has not broken 100 yards all year. Last week, I think he had 59 yards on 18 rushes. It was like 3.3 a carry. He did get a touchdown. He gets his touchdowns in, but has not had the breakout year I really thought he would, and that's due to the offensive line. And that's due, yesterday listened also to WFA and Mike Francesa. Bilal Powell hits the hole with power. Le'Veon is more of a set-it-up type back. So with this offensive line, you can't set up. But I really thought at this point, if this team was going to be bad, and at 3-7 they're bad right now, he'd be outspoken, speaking against the coach, speaking against the quarterback, speak against the fans. All he has really done is supported his team, supported his quarterback, supported his coach, and supported the fan base. Going back to some minicamp, which I attended with my girls, he has been drug tested 5 times, 5 times in 10 months. Back in camp, I believe he was drug tested 2 days in a row. Um, he put out a tweet today that today will be the last time he gets drug tested. He will not go to any more drug testing. This will be the 6th time. He doesn't want to get stuck with a needle. And basically, his message to the league was, "You haven't found anything on me yet. Go find it on somebody who has it." So that's just something to look at. I mean, if you're looking at performance enhancement drugs, he needs to take a whole, pharmacy full right now with this offensive line because he just hasn't been able to break that line and get that big chunk of yardage. Every time I see him break over, I go, "That's the run. That's the run he needs. That's what he needs." But he hasn't really done it. So that's the news right now. Um, the Jets are, like I said, are at 3-7. They have a game coming up against Oakland, which would be a nice test, not a big test, but a nice test, a bigger test than they've had since I would say Jacksonville. And Jacksonville and Miami gave them a hard time, but that's turned the table with a report that came out that Sam Darnold went to Adam Gase after the Jacksonville game and spoke about what he thinks the offense should do and what he likes, what he doesn't like. Since then, they're 2-1. Now, I don't know prior to the Miami game if they did make any changes, but you can see there's been an improvement the last 2 weeks. So we shall see this week if it continues. They have the last, let's see, Jacksonville, Miami, the last 4 games they've had a touchdown on their first drive, which was something they didn't do in 30-plus previous games prior to that Jacksonville game. And they're 2-2 so far when they did that. They still need a kicker as Thickens is very, very erratic. He can hit it from 40 and then miss from 35. They need consistency there. And that's the state of the team right now. I'm hoping to see more productivity from Jamal Adams this week. He will have a bigger task as they go up against Derek Carr and the Raiders. They have a good running back. And they've been playing well. And they need this game to continue in the playoff hunt. They are very much in the playoff hunt. They are, I believe, 7-4. I think they're 6-4, 7-4. So they want to keep up with the other AFC teams. But the Jets have not beaten the team out of the NFC East this year. The only team they lost to in the NFC East were the Eagles, which they never beat. They've beaten the Giants, they beat Washington, they beat Dallas. They got to beat an AFC team. We'll go in more detail with that on Friday with our preview. We'll look at some history between the Jets and the Raiders. We'll look at some matchups, and of course, we'll go around the league and look at those matchups and see what's going on. So far, you got to be happy with the last 2 weeks. You got to be happy with the progress that they made. You got to look back, and again, I said this on Monday. My cousin and my friend put together. They're 3-7. You put in, you beat Buffalo, and Buffalo was 7-3. So, and they were beating that team. So let's say they don't lose, they lose to Buffalo. You beat Cleveland, who's a beatable team if they had Sam in. And then there's 1 win. You beat Miami is 2 wins is 5, and you beat Jacksonville is 3 is another win is 6, and all of a sudden you're at 6-4. And this game is tremendous this week, and it could propel you into a wild card shot. And can you imagine if they beat Buffalo? I mean, they're just games that they were given away, early on in the season with Sam having mono and giving up a lead in game 1 and whatnot. And you look, and just the last 4 weeks, if they beat Jacksonville and Miami, they're 5-5, and they're not a wild card team, but they're in the talks for a wild card with, you have Oakland coming up, yes, but then you have Cincinnati and Miami again coming up. So you got to say this is a lot of lost opportunities on a team who really the talent wasn't there, but they could pretty much have written their own ticket and been in the thick of things. As always, check us out on Facebook. NY Jet Stories is our Facebook page. Check us out online, www.nyjetstories.com. That's www.nyjetstories.com. We're on Twitter at NY Jet Stories is our Twitter handle. Check us out. Drop us a line. Of course, check us out on YouTube. This is the channel, Alex Bozziali, NY Jet Stories. We do these videos at least 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, unless the team, of course, is playing on a Monday or Thursday. Then we'll do Tuesday and Friday that week and try to throw one in between. We do bonus coverage like we did today, today's bonus coverage. And that'll do it for today. A quick video. I know it's late, but we'll get to more analysis, more matchups, more history on Friday. So enjoy your day, and we'll talk to you in about 48 hours or so.